Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die. They stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for support if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
It's all about past benchmarks and how we understand what is going to happen today or what could happen in the future. It all has to do with the past. Every shred of it. That's your evidence. That's your evidence. So that question that I asked on the AI, just to be thorough, was, what was all the countries that have locked their currency, got rid of the 3 zeros in the last 60 years. Now, there's other countries that redenominated after a war and all that stuff, and it's a different category than a lock, even though they might have gotten rid of the 3 zeros. But we don't need to get into that. All right. The next question I asked AI was, why analyze past currencies? The past currency change. Why analyzing past currency change is important for forecasting future trends. Very simple, you guys. It wrote a lot. All right. It put out there a lot. And I'm just going to read the titles for them. Currency fluctuate constantly. Identifying drivers of currency movement, and that's what we're looking at. The currency movement for these countries that have locked. Hyperinflation. Why? Lack of customers. So what they print more currency so people out there can have it ends up causing a hyperinflation. That's what it is. It's their economy shit. So that's number 2, identifying drivers of currency movements, ARACA's policy, assessing currency valuation. All right. What are they using? What's the economy look like? Even though it kind of has to do with the number 2 question, but assessing currency valuation. Historical data can be used to evaluate whether the currency is over or undervalued compared to long-term fair value as measured by metrics like purchasing power and parity. And that's all great. But the reality is, how do we know that where you're finding the value with the Iraqi dinar, how much oil was Iraq producing before the wars, before their currency was good? All right? It was in the $2 range. How much oil were they producing? What was the world's population? What was Iraq's population? Now compare that today. How much oil is Iraq producing? Can you find that information? Can you by yourself find that information? And then, what is their customer base? And then you'll see there's a hidden value. How can it be worth $2.27 around that range back in those days, and today it's a tenth of a penny? They have more customers. They're producing more oil. That's where you're going to find the value. And then you're going to ask, well, why is it doing that? If these other countries, they're in a desperate attempt to save their economy. They're getting rid of these 3 zeros. Why did Iraq add 3 zeros? That's one. And then how are they going to, can they add value to their currency? So number 3, assessing currency valuation. 4, forecasting currency trends. And, it all lines up together. But analyzing the past exchange rate cycles, the factors behind that allows economists and investors, and that's you and me, to make more informed predictions about the future. And that's all I did, is I looked at the Iraqi dinar, and I realized that it is not market-driven hyperinflation, it's policy inflation, and the whole thing is manipulated. And then I listened to the language that they use, that the Ministry of Planning, the Ministry of Finance, how they want to add value to their currency. And then you look at the moves that they made. They got rid of the 1 dinar that had a 1 0 behind it. And then they added the 50K note. That's the latest and greatest currency that they put out there, and they're still talking about adding value to their currency. Do you guys understand this? So the last part of this is comparison of exchange rates between the U.S. dollar and Middle East oil currencies, and just go ask an AI. Give you some practice, and then you start finding authorities. So Perplexity is a phenomenal tool for finding that, because I use ChatGPT. You guys, I pay the $20 a month one, but Perplexity is it's AI, and it's hooked up to the entire internet the way it's supposed to be, and it's free. But again, so what's the highest that the Iraqi dinar can go? And we don't know. The thing about it is, it's not going to be $4, $3, or anything like that. You can't have Kuwait and Oman and these countries where, their populations are super tiny, and everybody's sitting on a sea of oil. Iraq's population is way bigger, and they have way more problems than these other countries do, and they have more bills that they have to pay. All right, you'd think it'd be opposite. It's like, oh my God, more bills, and all the value of the currency has to go. No, it has to do with efficiency. So Iraq, what's the minimum? Look at the value of the currencies around that country, Iraq. Look at the value of the currencies that are around there. Look at the Saudi Arabian currency. Look at the countries that have about the same population. It's not going to be perfect, and you start averaging it out. That's where we come up with the 50 cent, 40 cent, whatever, however it starts, because it might change, because the values might change, right? That's how I'm averaging it out. I'm averaging it out with countries that have the same similar production, around the same population, and then customer base. That's easy. It's very, very easy. And that's it. So comparing exchange rates between the U.S. dollar and Middle East oil currencies, that's where I'm finding my rate. So when I got into the Iraqi dinar, they were always saying, they said over and over, we want to get it to $1.25. Okay. And then eventually they want to get it to like $3, which General Houghton had mentioned in his interview. And he's the one who actually was in charge of taking the old dinar and putting out the dinar that you and I have out there. So they want to get it to $3, and do that, they have to get the note count down to 4 billion notes. That's where I got all that information. It came from those guys. I wouldn't even know. How would I even contemplate on where to get that information from if it didn't come from those guys? Like, where would you pull that out of? It's impossible, you guys. Empirical data, all right? It has to come from somebody. Then you can sit down and do an analysis on whether this investment's for you or not. But I do know this. I know what Iraq is doing right now is completely different from all these countries that lopped. They're completely opposite. They added a currency with more zeros on it. They got rid of the currency, the 50 dinar note. If they were going to get rid of notes, that'd be the one note that they would keep, and they got rid of it. And that's it. So I'm in. I'll do exactly my strategy has not changed. When I first bought, I bought the big notes. And then I started thinking about it. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? The 25K note. Then I started thinking about it. And it's like, well, what if they do? The question is, how are they going to manage the zeros? Even though it's not market inflation, it's policy inflation. I looked everywhere back in the day. There is no answers on how to manage this. So how do I guess? I can't. So I diversified. And then I said to myself, well, okay, what if I want to go out and they add value, and I want to go out and I want to buy a nice little piece of property or something like that. But I want to keep, maybe when do I get out? What's my exit strategy? I don't want to get out if it's like 26 cents and then the dinar goes up to $1.26. Yeah, that's going to be expensive, right? So how do I do that? How do I get out of that little, that corner? And that's when I, was looking at on not only that, but tax obligations. And guess what was the answer, ladies and gentlemen? Diversification of the type of denominations that you have. So it solved those two problems. But the threat of the LOP is still the same as when I got into this investment. It's completely opposite. Iraq is, in fact, they've done more in policy-wise to be completely opposite of what these other countries have done. All right? So that's it. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. The LOP question is based on hyperinflation from the market versus policy inflation. The Iraqi dinar is stable. It goes up, it goes down, but it's not major like what Zimbabwe and these countries were doing, where it was just massive inflation. It was just, nobody could control it. The central banks of those countries couldn't control it. Iraq has complete control of the Iraqi dinar. Do you guys see how everything is opposite? You know, God bless these guys and their opinions, but I'm telling you right now, it's not based off anything. And you guys need to stop listening to these opinion pieces, and you need to start watching, like I said, the Central Bank of Iraq, Parliament, Ministry of Planning, Ministry of Finance, and that's it. And guess what? If there's no information, you're out there looking at information, and there's nothing out there, then there's nothing out there. There's big gaps where there's no information. Why do you think I don't put audios up? I'm not here to hear myself talk. You know, if there's information that comes up, I'll be the first guy out there. If someone sends me information that I didn't see, boom, I'm doing an audio. But I'm not going to do an audio because it's Sunday time and it's church time. And it's just, you know, it's that time. You know, if you guys send me questions, and the questions are great, and you're truly trying to find information, or you have information, you're trying to do analysis, I'll do an audio for you guys any day of the week. But somebody needs to put this out there and you know, make sure that you understand that the comparisons between the LOP and why these guys are wrong. And that's it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the LOP question. That's where it comes from. And for the Iraqi dinar, it's a completely different ballgame. Completely different ballgame. Don't let them use the word hyperinflation. It's not hyperinflated because of the markets. Iraq doesn't have a customer problem. Iraq doesn't have a production problem. Iraq has a policy issue. I wouldn't even say it's a problem. It's a policy issue. They know what they're doing. The people at the top know what they're doing. And also, think about this. From the people that I used to work with, these guys were not advisors for politicians. These guys were researchers. They did research. They didn't sit there and go, this is what I think. The people that I work with, we never once sat in front of a group and said, this is what I think. We don't have that type of authority. We're never, ever hired for anything like that. But we would do research for them. All right? And that's where I got a lot of these senators and congressmen and stuff like that. They all had dinar. That's where it came from. But they understood policy. You talk to them about the markets, they don't have a damn clue where it's coming from, what, when, where, why, or if you talked about past countries lopping, they would have no clue what you're talking about. But they understood policy, and that was enough. That was enough for them to take a risk. Underline the word risk. It was enough for them to take a risk because they knew what was going to come down the road. Now, that was a different president, a different policy, and since then we've had, this is the third president since that's happened. Policies change. But for Iraq itself, it has not changed. Iraq itself, they're what they want to do, how they're doing it, and why they're doing it has not changed. It's a steady beat. So that's it. That's the best way I can answer it. So, to help you guys with the authority, and so you're not guessing and depending on other people's opinions, use AI like I just did. This stuff I pulled, I knew this stuff already, but the way that it was put out on this audio, I took it directly from what AI gave me. Ask it a million different questions, a million different ways. And don't sit there and be feminine about it and ponder and be in a state of perpetual question. Make a goddamn decision. Do you want to be in this investment or not? And if you don't, then who cares? Get out. Still my friend. I'm not offended. I had, you guys, some of my closest friends got out of the Rocky Dinar. They put it in other investments and made a fortune doing other stuff. They kept a little. They did. They kept a little. But it's like, no, I'm going heavy over here. And boom, nothing wrong with it. And I guarantee you, what they've reaped on what they invested, they're not apologizing to anybody, to the investment gods or anybody. So, show a little backbone, make a decision whether you're an investment or not, show a little initiative, and write down in your investment Bible that you should have created for yourself who actually has authority to make this stuff happen. And what is it that they're actually doing? And you'll realize they're doing completely opposite of what these guys are saying, that there's going to be a major loss. I have an average on what I think it's going to revalue at, 51, 52 cents. I could be wrong. That's not, it's not like Abraham Lincoln said that or something. It was an average. So you guys, that's why I got into the dinar. That's where I seen the value. And when I actually did the evaluation, it was against countries and currencies that have locked. It's like, okay, I had the same question to you guys when I invested. Where's this going? How can this work? That's what I found. I found out the value was in that it was a policy-based inflation. They didn't want to add value to it. They injected U.S. dollar into the economy and devalued the dinar before they put the dinar that you and I have in now. It has nothing to do with major hyperinflation, major market problems, or anything like that. It's over with. So let it go. In other words, stop reading what these holes are saying. That's it. Just turn it off. Complete stoicism, right? Those old stoic principles. They're toxic. You don't like what they're saying. They're wrong. Why are you reading this? If you're too weak and you got to read it anyways, you know what I mean? You might not want to be in this investment because there's a lot of that stuff out there. But, I guarantee you guys, that they're not looking at the information correctly. They're just simply not. All right? So that's the end of, that's the end of that. But I wanted to accomplish two things. The original strategies and why I got in this investment was comparing with currencies that had locked. And, it's like, well, there's, I looked at remember I told you guys that when I got in this investment, that one of the things I looked at was when the Eastern Bloc countries separated itself from the USSR, and they added value to their currencies. They went through a revaluation process. And that's where you had George Soros and those guys. That's where he made a lot of his money. The reason I learned about that stuff was I knew from policy-wise, politically, what was going on is because when I heard about the dinar, is I remember working as a network engineer, selling and setting up small networks for Southern California Edison. And that was the talk. All these guys were talking about, we're the biggest utility company on the planet and this and that, and we're going to make a play for Eastern Europe because Russia's out, and so we're going to go after, and then George Soros and how the currency, it all played out right in front of me. So that's how I kind of knew what to ask and how to ask and where that information came from originally. I got involved with bankers and everything else that had different opinions and how it came about, politicians and stuff like that. But that's where it all unfolds from. So there's a lot of thought behind it, but it's the same thing I learned very, very young. Who has the authority? All that stuff is great, right? Difference of opinions and all that stuff, but where is the authority coming from? The people who have authority have gotten rid of the one dinar that has the 1 0 behind it, the one you'd think they would save, the one that they would reserve for if they're going to lop it. No, they got rid of that. So yes, they can add value to currencies that have a lot of zeros behind it. The Iraqi dinar is stable, and they are going to add value to it. They can add value to it. And if you're really paranoid, you want to stay in this investment, and you're really paranoid, then diversify. Diversify. Look at the notes and come up with your own formula. And if you don't know when to exchange, then diversify, because you can exchange smaller notes and and still have enough notes on the side where if it gains value, and it also changes your tax obligation, short term and long term, by the way. So, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That's my opinion. That's it. Mark this video because I'm done talking about the LOP and going over this because it's not a part of my world. It's not part, I don't worry about it at all. For 1 second, I don't worry about it. So anyways, as Bob said, that this is not part of our, I still need more questions from you guys on just in general. No more LOP questions, all right? Any other questions outside of that, we're preparing to do another audio to answer more of people's questions. And you guys will have another audio up here pretty quickly on a couple things that we're dealing with the Iraqi dinar. But we want to do the big general presentation with you guys coming up still. So Breitling Currency at gmail.com is where you want to send the questions. You guys, anything, tell me what you thought about this audio, if it helped you or whatever. I like feedback. All right. But, guys, it's stay away from the guru sites. Stay away from the guru sites. I hope I'm wrong, but one of the things, if you look at the meta tags, which and why how these people advertise, that when they start talking about certain subjects, people panic and they read those articles and they're making money off advertisement. And I hope I'm wrong, but that's how it works. If you're wondering, it's like, well, he's not benefiting from it. Yeah, they are. For every 1,000 views or 500, whoever they're using for advertising or whatever, they're getting paid for every person that looks at that article. That's how advertisement works. Click per million. So I'm hoping that they just have their own opinion, and I hope it's innocent like that. But I suspect these guys are stirring the pot because it's advertisement. I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for the questions, and for the people who come at me and all this stuff. It's all forgivable. It's you guys. We're playing a game here. All right, we're investing. It's fun. People have differences of opinions. I don't hate anybody. God bless you. Thank you, everybody. Until the next audio, be good all.